Good morning to all of, good evening to all of you. Am I audible? Can you just confirm it? Yes, students. Okay. Now we are going to discuss the another important topic, which is a little difficult what students will feel, what I used to observe it. That is today we are talking about object-oriented principles. Object-oriented principles. Object-oriented principles. Okay. So let us start with the object-oriented principles now. So let us move to the what exactly importance is. Still, people are joining very, very late. So very slowly they are joining. Object-oriented principles. Okay. So shall we start or shall we wait for 2 more minutes? Shall we wait for 2 more minutes or shall we start? Okay, we will start. Very good. Very good. Okay, okay, ma. All of them saying start. Right. Fine, ma. Yeah, Prasad, last we discussed, ma. Prasad, last we discussed. Sir, I don't have the knowledge on academic project because I brought the project. Now, how should I mention the project in my resume, sir? You mentioned that project, ma, but you need to know the coding of it, Prasad. You must know the coding of it. Any project you are explaining, always remember, guys, you people, everybody, they will ask you the flow of that project. Flow of that project nowadays. And nowadays, people are asking coding also. Nowadays, wherever you take the project, they will explain only documentation that you just make it granted everywhere else. They will just explain only documentation only. They can't explain the coding. Because of that, student will suffer. Because as a real-time programmer, I am telling to you guys, all of you should remember these things and you make yourself as more comfortable by yourself. So people are just talking about the documentation. So because of that documentation, nothing will come to us. We are just working like a medical representative. So because of that, nothing is useful to you. It is my advice for everybody. Please learn coding of that. You please learn coding of that. That is my advice. Final advice I would like to give. Prasad, keep your resume in that resume, but always keep in mind coding. You must know that coding. You need to learn it. Okay, right. So this is called what? OOPS principles we can call. So also known as what? OOPS principles we can call. OOPS in Python. In Python we are entering now. Right. So let us carefully understand and let us eliminate the limitation of this object-oriented principles. So this topic will take 1 week, continuous 1 week it will take. So please don't miss single class of it. It's very, very important to build larger applications, to build mission learning and deep learning and artificial intelligence and data science level of applications. You need this type of knowledge, compulsory programming knowledge. It's so easy actually. And of course, with my knowledge, you will understand like anything, and please enjoy this and try to move forward. Yes, students. Now I'm going to start. All of you. Yes. Come on, ma. Everybody. Please go for the most important thing. In real time, now I'm starting the discussion, guys. In real time, and try to listen relaxedly, but try to respond it and listen very carefully. In real time, to develop any project, to develop any project, to develop any project by using Java or Python or C++ or .NET or React.js or Node.js or anything, PHP, anything. To develop any project, we must use a language. Compulsory a language is required. If I want to use Java project, if I use servlets, JSP, JDBC, anything, Java coding is compulsory. Without Java coding, we can't understand anything else. That's why language learning is really an art. Language learning is really a great job. Technology is easy to understand, right? So Python learning is difficult, but Django learning is dead easy. In real time, to develop any project, we must use a language. We must use a language, and it can satisfy, and it can satisfy. Yes, and it can satisfy. Carefully try to understand. And it can satisfy two principles, and it can satisfy two principles. They are, carefully listen, ma. Yes, ma, Omkar, advanced Java. Okay, ma, okay. So actually we are supposed to start. I'll tell you at the end of it, what is the plan behind this. Okay, right. Let us start this. Okay, Omkar, I will give you at the end of it some clarity to you. Okay, right. So in real time, to develop any project, we must use a language and it can satisfy two principles. They are, first one is procedure oriented program, procedure oriented principles, and the second is called what, object oriented principles. Procedure oriented principles, and next is called object oriented principles. And if you look at the C programming, is comes under procedure oriented and not an object oriented. Java is an object oriented, but Python is both procedure oriented as well as what, object oriented. Dear students, whether you have remembered or not, in the beginning cases, in the features of Python, we told you one feature, both procedure oriented and object oriented. Did you remember, students? All of you, both procedure oriented and object oriented. Yes. Now, whatever the coding we have written so far, they are all comes under what? Procedure oriented. That is called functional programming. We can call. And the same programming, we can write using object oriented principles. And the same programming we can write using object oriented principles. So what are we doing in object oriented principles learning? We are writing the programs what we have written previously, which we are rewriting by using object oriented principles. And moreover, we must understand what exactly procedure oriented principles and how we are going to use it. And C is the best example for procedure oriented principles, and Java is the best example for object oriented, and Python will satisfy both procedure oriented and object oriented. Internally, Python is one of the object oriented only, because everything is treated as an object. Even though Python is a procedure oriented and object oriented so far, internally everything is treated as an object. Am I correct? Come on, by the time we have to enter into the subject, Python is what so far? We did not use any classes and objects so far. We are using just everything as an object, we are learned so far. Now we are entering into a big discussion, object oriented. So Python is what language? Python is what kind of programming language? It is a procedure oriented as well as what? Object oriented programming language. Right? Even though Python satisfies, next line I am writing, students, and in the case here I will write it, and procedure oriented programming and object oriented programming comes under structured programming. Structured programming, what is the concept? Functions are available. Unstructured programming does not contain what? Unstructured programming. Actually, if you go to the broad category of software industry, programming languages are of two types. Programming languages are of two types. One is called what you know. One is called what you know. Here I am writing. Unstructured programming languages. Unstructured PLs. That I already told you. And one more is called what? Structured PLs. Unstructured PLs. Structured programming languages. Under unstructured programming languages, no concept of what? Functions. No concept of functions. We don't have any concept of functions. Yeah, we don't have any concept of functions, students. And what is an example for it? GW basic. It is an example of that. And we have seen in the functions concept. Under structured programming languages, what are present? Under structured programming languages, what are present? Functions are present. The structured programming language interns classified into two types. One is called what? One is called POP, procedure oriented principles. And next is called what? Object oriented principles. Under procedure oriented programming, C is there. Under object oriented programming, Java is there. Even .NET is there. But when you come to Java, when you come to Python here, Python is going to satisfy both the principles. Here. Python is going to be, it is the object oriented programming as well as procedure oriented programming. C++ comes under what? It is a object oriented programming. We can also write Shubham. We can also write it is called object oriented programming. It is used in telecommunication more and more. Okay. Now let us coming to the, like that, if I go to object oriented programming, there are so many languages are available. I can write 20 to 25 languages. Some of them are in use, some of them are outdated. Some of them are in use, some of them are outdated. And first of all, Python is what language at present now? Python is what programming language at present now? It is one of the procedure as well as what? Object-oriented programming language. It is one of the procedure as well as what? Object-oriented programming language. That I want to mention it here. What I'm saying, even though I'm writing here, even though Python is satisfying, listen very carefully, satisfying both procedure oriented principles and what? Object oriented principles. Procedure oriented principles and what? Object oriented principles. Procedure oriented principles and object oriented principles. Internally, everything is treated as what? Every value stored in every value treated as what? Treated as objects. This is called one of the greatest facility of Python programming. From the day one onwards, I am showing that every value treated as what? Treated as what? Objects. Now I am going to explain what are the benefits of treating everything is an object. That is indirectly, what are the advantages of object-oriented principles? Because every value is stored internally in the form of objects. That is what I am going to talk about. One important double-quoted point. Everything is treated as, everything is treated as objects. Everything is treated as objects. Benefits, I'm going to talk about it. Benefits, I'm going to explain. Everything is treated as an object. What is the meaning of it? What is the meaning of it? I'm just talking about the first thing. The first and foremost important, foremost important thing. The first and foremost important thing. We can send the first and foremost important thing. Carefully understand. From the day one onwards, we are taking about object. What is the first point? Can anybody can say? By treating everything is an object. What is the first benefit, my dear students? Can anybody can answer my question? Yes, you must answer it. Everything is treated as an object. What are the benefits? First thing you need to say, right? Yes, Kotesh, super mark. You can expect everything we can store it. Any value, any type of value, you can store it. In the object, one can store unlimited amount of data. Unlimited amount of data. You take an example of what? Object-oriented programming languages like C++ you see, like Java you see. If you take your own object there, you are able to store limited number of values. Some restriction in the size of values. Whereas in the case of object of Python, one can say that you can store large amount of data. Am I correct? Is it understandable? In the beginning days only I was explained to you. In the object, we can store large volume of data. Large volume of data. We can store what data, guys? Large volume of data we can store. We can store large volume of data. That is the first point we can say. And I was explained to you very, very perfectly to you. In Java, how we can store it. In our Python, how we can store it. In the beginning only. A is equal to, I said, some number of 9s I stored in Java. It was giving an error. Too large to hold the number. But as in Python, I can store any amount of data, any extent of data, any large amount of data, we can store it. In the object, we can store large amount of data. Right. And one more most important benefit is, while the data is visiting, yes, ma'am. Now, coming to the point, next advantage I'm going to say, because of everything is treated as an object, we are achieving platform independency. Am I correct, students? Because of treating everything as an object, we are achieving a kind of thing called what? Platform independency. By treating everything as an object, see, very, very careful. By treating everything as an object, everything is an object, we can achieve the platform independency. I told in the beginning cases only how the platform independency the Python is. What are the benefits we are getting it? In the case of this Python, what are the benefits we are getting? I am just writing it. In the object, we can store large volume of data. By treating everything as an object, we can achieve platform independency. In procedure-oriented programming, purely, how the values are sending, how the values are showing, in procedure-oriented programming, the values are sending from one machine to another machine, value by value only sending. Value by value only sending. Suppose I have what? 500 bytes of data I am having. I have 500 bytes of data. In procedure-oriented programming language like a C, I want to send this 500 bytes of data from one machine to another machine. How can I send it? I can send these values in procedure-oriented programming in the form of byte by byte. In the form of byte by byte, I can send it. Whereas in the case of object-oriented programming like Python, I can keep this data inside of an object. Which object I can keep it? Large amount of data. I can keep it into list object. I can keep it into tuple object. I can keep it into everything is an object. I can keep my values into some object. That object I can send at a time. Tell me, students, sending all at once is better or sending value by value is better? How it is possible all at once is better? Because we are sending everything in the form of one package. Everything is in the form of a binding format. Simple answer, you take it. Simple answer, simple one, you take it. Yes. So come on to the point of it. Come on to the point of it. I'm asking one question. Everything we are sending at once. General knowledge example, if you take it. Suppose you want to go to a native place. How you can carry your bag? How you can carry your bag? All at once or one by one? All at once, mobile charger, dresses, laptop, you will bring all at once in a bag or not? That bag is nothing but an object. That bag is nothing but an object. So your number I want to place, your name I want to place, your marks I want to place, everything I want to place it. So how can I place it? Can I take it into 4 variables separately? No, I have to take all at once in one object only. That is the beauty of it. So that large volume of data, see dear students, the large volume of data, is transferred between, very important facility, between two remote missions, two remote missions. The large volume of data is transferred between two remote missions, in the form of all at once, The large volume of data is transferred between two remote missions in the form of all at once, and achieves and obtains optimal communication. That is, obtains effective communication. This is one technical term. Of course, you can understand. Effective communication. Value by value sending will take more amount of time. The large volume of data is transferred between two remote missions in the form of all at once and obtains effective communication. In the case of procedure-oriented programming, how the values are sending in the form of value by value. Moreover, dear students, one more point I want to say, students. What is that is? The data which is present in the object, when it is visiting over the network, nobody can understand its data, because it will visit over the network in the form of encrypted format, ciphertext format, human unreadable form it will visit. That's why most of the technologies are moving towards the object-oriented programming. The best example, you take Oracle database. Before Oracle 8 version, Oracle 8, Oracle 9, Oracle 10G, 11G, 12C, so you are learning so many. Because I am seeing the Oracle from Oracle 5 version onwards. Now it is 19C. So coming to the point of it, yes, even WhatsApp also, data is sending between two remote missions in encryption format. That indicates that data in the middle cannot be trapped or cannot be understandable by the end users. Only it is reaching to your machine, then only it is decrypted to your understandable format. Over the network, it is called what? Encrypted format, ciphertext. So tell me the point here. Because of treating everything is an object, the object data is ciphertext. Now I am writing the confidential data. See students, the confidential. I'm just giving introduction to OOPS. Why OOPS required? The confidential data the confidential data is visiting the confidential data is visiting between two remote missions in the form of what? In the form of ciphertext. See guys, carefully understand. In the form of ciphertext or encrypted format. Encrypted format. Encrypted format is nothing but a human unreadable format. Okay. So that we can achieve, we can get inbuilt security. Inbuilt security is achieved. So coming to the point of it. See students, inbuilt security is the screen is visible for you guys. Just for a minute, you please. Okay, good. So that we can get inbuilt security as nice. So first one is called what? Large volume of data can be stored. And by treating everything as an object, we can achieve this platform independency. In the case of this Python, especially independency. Yes, my spelling mistake. Independency. Yeah. So we can achieve the platform independency. If anywhere else spelling mistake, please let me know that, ma, because I'm typing in little something like a little speed. So please let me know that. So cipher, that is not cyber ma, Shubham. It is called ciphertext. Correct, that is not cyber text. It is called ciphertext only. It is correct, right? Encrypted format, so that we can get the inbuilt security. And one more thing is, dear students, whether you have observed or not, please let me know that. See, coming to the point of it, list objective, take it. See students, LST is equal to, I am taking 10, 20, something like, minus 40, and then minus 50, and then minus 3, something like this I have. This is my data. Suppose I want to find the maximum number of this max. I want to find the max value from this. What I will do simply, max of LST, which will give you what here? 50. Next, suppose I want to sort this data. Minimum value I want to find it. Min of LST. It will print what data here? Minus 40. I want to sort this data. How do you sort this data? LST dot sort. See, the sort is a function. Available in LST. What else? Not only this LST dot append of some ABC. LST dot insert. LST dot insert 1 comma something like a Python. I can do like this. See carefully. These are all called what? Data present in this case. I am saying, my dear students, data present in where? Objects. That is the first beginning time onwards we are learning. Data present in object. On the objects who are operating. Our functions are operating. You observe it carefully. Yeah, insert function is operating on LST. Append function is operating on LST. Sort function is operating on LST. So where is the data stored, ma? If you catch this point, na, where is the data stored? This is the point from beginning onwards we are using. Where is the data stored in? Data stored in object. So operations performed by what? Operations performed by using what? Excellent, Taushif. Functions. So data stored in objects. Yes, ma, Rohit, good. Data stored in objects, and functions operates on the objects only. Now tell me, in C language programming, In procedure-oriented programming, both data as well as operation done in function only. See, students, understand this point. Both, if you go for C programming for a minute, if you go for a C programming for a minute, I will write it void some OP, a comma b. I will write a C language code a comma int b, a comma b, a comma b. I am writing C is equal to a plus b. I will print f. I will just say value of a, value of b. I will write it. Value of b, I will write it. Value of a, value of b, I will write it. Like that, I am writing the statements. Tell me, students, data available inside the function, processing is inside the function only. Once this function is available, values are not there at all. But in object-oriented programming, like Python, data stored in where? Data stored in, as I told you, stored in where? Objects. Data stored in objects. Okay. Operation done with what? Functions on what? Objects. Data available, data stored in objects, operation, that is called functions, operates on the object. I mean to say, because of data stored in the objects, we can minimize the memory space. Once again, in C programming, data available in functions. If I have 20 functions, say the values, 20 times I have to write it. 20 times I have to write it. It is a waste of time. 20 times I have to write. It is a waste of time. Whereas in case of object, data stored once in object, I can do any number of operations on it. Any number of operations I can do it. I can, suppose if the data is there in list, I can do insert operation, I can do append operation, I can do copy operation, I can sort the data, I can do, I can clear the data, I can do what, count the data. So many functions I can apply. Set data, I can do perform intersection, union, difference, symmetric difference, pop item, so many operations I can write it. The final point I want to write it is, always the data is always available. The data is always available in the available around the objects. Data is always available around the objects. I hope you are understanding. Data is always available around the objects. Am I clear? And on the objects, data is always available around the objects, and on the objects we can perform operations. By using functions. So I mean to say, indirectly I am telling to you, data is always available in objects only. That is my basic intention of telling this concept. On the objects we are going to apply functions. That is the total aim of mine which I want to tell in the class. These are the basic benefits. And people can say we can achieve the reusability also. Yes, ma. Raghuram, where ma? Line number 13. Okay, the large volume of data is transferred between two remote machines in the form of all at once. And obtains effective communication. Yes, sir, correct only, ma. In line number 13, sir, in the form of, yeah, line number 13, the large volume of data is transferred between two remote machines in the form of, see that, in the form of, it is there, in the form of all at once. Yes, it is correct. In the form of all at once. And obtains effective communication. Raghuram. Yes, ma, Raghuram, are you okay understanding this sentence? It's correct only. Okay. These are the benefits of what? Treating everything as an object. And we can achieve modularization, everything we can achieve, because inheritance principles itself, some people will say advantage. Of course, they are going to be advantage. It will provide inbuilt memory management also. And especially we need not write any memory management example, because in Python programming, even though Python satisfying both procedure oriented principles and what object oriented principles, internally every value treated as what objects only. That is what is my basic heading. Everything is treated as an object, justify and then benefits using Python. Dear students, first of all, you tell me, is it clear for you? Is it clear for you? Yes. Come on to the point now. Come on to the point now. I'm going to move forward. Now I'm entering move forward. Yes, so simple, students. Now, let us start with what are the object-oriented principles. This is just introduction. This is just introduction for you. It is just like a introduction. This is introduction to object-oriented principles. Introduction to object-oriented principles. Introduction to object-oriented principles. I'm just going to take it. Yes. Now I'm going to enter into object-oriented principles. I'm going to introduce benefits of object-oriented principles. Yes. Now I'm going to introduce, students, object-oriented principles. I'm going to introduce, also called as what? OOPS principles. Your favorite full form. Object-oriented principles are called what? OOPS principles. OOPS principles. Object-oriented principles. These object-oriented principles available in C++, available in Java, available in Python, available in .NET. They are not actually available. They are the standard principles. Like sincerity principles are there now. How you people will satisfy like that? Object-oriented principles are satisfied by C++, or satisfied by Java, or satisfied by what? Satisfied by Python, or satisfied by .NET. Like that, most of the languages which are coming nowadays, all of them are satisfying the object-oriented principles, because innumerous countless applications you are developing with the inbuilt services, inbuilt facilities you are getting by treating everything as an object. Now straightforward to say a particular programming language is object oriented. A particular programming language is what? Object oriented programming language. To say a particular programming, to say a particular language, to say particular language, a particular language is object oriented, then it has to say, it has to satisfy the object oriented principles. It has to satisfy the object oriented principles. It has to satisfy the object oriented principles. They are, it has to satisfy the object oriented principles. And moreover, I want to write it. The object oriented principles in Python are, why? Because why I'm writing this sentence is because, dear students, this is one of the conflict is coming between among the faculties. This conflict I don't want to create in your minds. Some of the people are writing what you know, students, data encapsulation. This is number one, they will write. Next, they will write a data abstraction. Actually, these are very simple. Technically, you have to understand. Next is called inheritance. Next is called polymorphism. Next is called polymorphism. These are the only principles people will say object oriented. Even in small websites also, these are only the 4 object oriented principles they are saying. Straightforward, one question to them. You ask them to write the program using inheritance. What is compulsory required? Class is compulsory. Class is compulsory. Object is compulsory. So how can they say that inheritance is only the object-oriented principle? That's why class is a object-oriented principle. Object is the object-oriented principle. Without classes and object, no object-oriented programming language at all. The big scientists like IBM, Sun Microsystem, a big scientist who developed the products for the software industry, they said that in olden days programming languages, object-oriented programming principles are actually 12, but they are just improving the technology. They are coming to what? 7. In Java, there is one more 8 principles I used to tell. Some of my Java students are also there here. So object-oriented principles are actually 8 in where? In where? Java. But in Python, that another object-oriented principle called dynamic binding, it was not there explicitly. It is implicitly available in our Python directly. So here in, that's what I wrote. Object-oriented principles in Python are 7 only. In Java, it is 8 are there. So that is called message passing, which I am always using from the beginning onwards. Dear students, this message passing from the day 1 onwards we are using. Message passing is nothing but passing the data from function call to function definition. Especially in Python, the values of a function call are treated as an objects only, which are sending to the function definition, holding in the formal parameters, either in the form of positional parameters or in the form of default arguments or in the form of variable length or in the form of keyword parameters or in the form of keyword variable length. Did you understand that mechanisms? What is that? That is entire thing is known as what? Passing the data. So that is one of the implicit meaning of passing mechanism. So don't ask at the end of the scenario of oops, sir, tell about message passing. Tell about message passing. Did you understand from the day 1 onwards message passing? Message passing is nothing but passing the data to the function definition through the function call can be considered as what? Message passing. And don't ask at the end of the classes, message passing explains, sir. Will you ask me? Will you ask me? In the everyday session, we are using message passing only. And in the entire whoops also, we are following the message passing. In every moment of it, I will show you the message passing. How many whoops principles are there in Python? How many whoops principles are there in Python, students? 7. And strictly students, I would like to say one thing. People are feeling so difficulty in understanding whoops principles. That's why they are attending 2 times, 3 times classes. Such a simple thing what I feel, but people are feeling a lot of difficulty. I don't know why the difficulty is. I feel personally they are very easy. They are very easy. So coming to the point of it, nothing difficult at all. Try to understand. Yes, ma'am. The eighth one, that is nothing but eighth one is a dynamic binding. Is a dynamic binding. And no student knows. Even anybody completed Java from any of the places, they don't know what is a dynamic binding. It's 100%. Any person you take it, they don't know dynamic binding. This is especially in Java. This is especially in Java, it will be coming. In the polymorphism, it will come that too. But in the case of Python, it was inbuilt. It was inbuilt. I will show you what is the meaning of inbuilt. Inbuilt, I will show you. Whether you have watched it or not, I don't know. In unpickling concept, have you observed it? Unpickling, pickling. Which data I was pickled it, man? List data. Did you remember it? Pickling. Which data was pickled? List data. When I was used load function, load function, it returns the data. In what way it is returns the data? Load function, it is a separate program. It is getting the data in the form of list only. That means whatever you pickled, when you are unpickling, you are getting in the form of exact type. Internally, it is using dynamic load function. Dynamic binding concept was used. Yes. So there, whatever was pickled, it was unpickled the same data. So internally, Python environment is containing dynamic binding by default, because the Python developers already felt that load function is giving the pickled data as an unpickled data, as it is the same type is coming. It was dynamically binded to the pickled data here. Okay, ultimately, I'm trying to give the clarity here. Object-oriented principles are 7. Now I want to enter into the concept of a class. How simple it is. Now I am entering into the concept of class. Shall I go to the concept of class? And the pillars for learning this object-oriented is classes and objects are very important. Let us start. First concept is called what? Class. I will explain. First concept I will explain class. First concept I will go for the class. So today we are entering into the concept of class, and don't feel much tension of it. Understand very carefully. So there we are understanding so much of stuff. I will concentrate on these classes and objects. Three classes. It's not only simply 1 week. It may take 10 days also. It may take 10 days also. Depends on your understandability. If you understand quickly, we can do quickly. If you are not understanding, I have to spend more time on it. Okay, students, let me start with the purpose of class. Why class is required? Very simple. Come on, students. Now I am asking a simple question. What is my question is, I want to store employee details. I want to store my employee details, or I want to store my student details. For example, I want to store my student details. How many details I want to store it? Only 4 or 5 details I want to store. I don't want to store more than that. You can happily say, sir, student details, na? I will say what? LST is equal to, already you have LST, na, sir. You can write, what is that one? You can say your number, your name, and your marks also, You can store your college name also, sir. Like this you can say. Okay, you are getting it. Suppose I want to do some operations. I want to do it. What are the operations I want to do it? I want to decide the grade. I want to do my own operations. What operations you can do on list actually? What operations you can do list? You can do append operation. You can do list. You can do insert operation. See carefully understand. No confusion. Insert operation. You can do like this: index function, count function, copy function, pop function. Next is called a pop of index function. Remove function. Next is called extend function, sort function, reverse function. So many functions. Almost I told 12 to 13 functions I told you. Did you remember, guys, all of you? 12 to 13 functions I told you. These are all called what? You can use, I can use, everybody can use it. These are all called what? Common functions they are called. Yes. Common functions they are called. Suppose I want my data to organize. I want my data to organize my data. I want to organize my data, and I want to perform my operations. I want to perform my operations. Like what? Reading student details, and display student details. I want to calculate total marks, and next is called deciding the grade, decide grade. Like that, I just want to take my own operations. My data to organize definitely require what? object is required. If I take object called list object, if I take it, will I get the read function, display function, calculate, total function, decide function in the list? Will I get it? No, sir. No. Compulsory? No. We cannot. We cannot. So if I take set object, will I get it? Will I get it? No. You take any object, these functions are not fulfilled. These functions are not fulfilled. These functions are not fulfilled. So either you take set function or you take list, you take any of the objects we have, any of the data types we have, those type of objects are not fulfilling my requirement. Not fulfilling my requirement. Sir, how can I fulfill my requirement then, sir? To fulfill my requirement, 1 minute, 1 minute, all of you wait. Okay, now, okay, students, let us move further. See that my data to organize object set is not enough. Almost all our data types are not suitable. So what should I do? What should I do then? See, this append function, insert function, these are all called common functions. Present in which class? Present in which class? List class they present. Which class they present it? List class they present it. List class they present it. List class. That's why we are calling with respect to what? Object of list we are using. Dot we are performing that. Dot we are performing. We are saying dot. We are performing dot. Similarly, these functions are not present into any of our predefined classes. Definitely what we need, these functions are not present in these functions are not present in these functions are not present in any one of the predefined classes. Not present in any one of the predefined classes. So what do? We need customized classes, customized classes required. We need programmer defined classes, we require programmer defined classes. We require what? User defined classes, we require. User defined classes required. How can I develop that? How can I develop that? By using classes concept of hoops. Classes concept of hoops. Are you able to follow? These concept of classes, nothing but what? Programmer defined data types. Indirectly, I am taking to you programmer defined data types. The main purpose of classes concept in any object-oriented programming is to develop programmer-defined data type and to develop any real-time application. See, students, all of you must understand, to develop any type of programmer-defined data types in Python, compulsory you will use the concept of class. Because take one direct example. See one direct example. L is equal to what? List of. List of. What is L here? Tell me what is L, everybody. L is an object. L is an object. Super. Yes, sir. Similarly, I am writing here. Similarly, I am writing here student of, just have an analysis, students. Don't take any tension. I am there to explain like anything. What is yes? What is this yes? Yes is called an object. What is student? What is student? Class of which one? Class of which one? Class of which one, ma? Programmer defined classes, user defined classes, Ramu. It is a function, you are feeling function, but actually it is called a constructor. Ramu, I will take care of that. Okay. So student is called what? One type of customized class, It is called programmer defined class, user defined class. What is S is called object. Behind of every object, who is there? Behind of object, who is there? Class is there. Behind of object, who is there? Class is there. So such a type of class we want to define it. So people will ask you tomorrow, first question in interview point of view, why do you use a class? Why do you use a class? Classes concept is used for development of programmer defined data types, plus to develop any real-time application. Development of any real-time application. Programmer defined data types or user defined data types. Who will develop programmer defined data types? Programmers will develop, not users will develop. Keep in mind that you people will develop the defined data types, but not user. User is nothing but what? End user who don't know any ABCDs of Python. So our terminology should be international. Okay, right. So let us move further. Let us move further to the discussion. I am going to say programmer defined data types, we need to use it. What are the programmer defined data types? Programmer defined data types are used for to customize our operations, customizing our operations, not depending on the common operations, customizing our operations. So coming to the point back here, now I'm going to give you the clarity here. Now I'm writing the principal class. I'm writing the point by point just to understand the principle. Actually, once you understand the class concept, now other things are dead easy. The principal class, the principal class is one of the distinct principle of oops. Any website you see, you can't understand a single sentence about class, and it's a bluffing. Any website you see, you can't understand a single line, and they will give some type of general knowledge things only, but we are entering into the programming. The principal class is one of the distinct principle of oops. Sir, straightforward, what is the purpose of class? What is the purpose of list? List was the class, whether you remembered or not. Purpose of list, I told you. What is the list? It is one type of data type. It is one type of collection type. Today we are writing. The purpose of, the purpose of which concept? Classes concept is that to store, is that to develop, programmer defined data type. It's also, if you want, user defined data types, and to develop any real-time application, So I can write it, to develop any real-time application. Dear students, suppose I want to write sum of two numbers. How many ways are there to write sum of two numbers? There are three ways are there. Normal things, with the functions, with the modules, with the packages, with the oops. With the normal, with the functions, these are all called what? Procedure oriented approach, normal approach, non-object oriented programming approach. I can write the same program, I can write the same application by using what also? Oops. That too, which concept I can use it? Class. So any problem is there in front of you. Any type of application is there in front of you. See students, any type of application is there in front of you. There are two things are there. One is called what? Procedure oriented approach. That is called functional approach. Functional approach. That is called functional approach. One is called what? Object oriented approach. Object oriented approach. Two approaches are available. Object oriented approach we are entering now. Every functional approach is written in the form of what? Object oriented. So in our data science level, you may write the coding by using OOPS. You may write the coding with functional programming. That's why we learned functional programming as well as object oriented programming. We are entering now. We are entering now. So dear students, coming to the point of it, now I am asking a question here. People will ask tomorrow, why do you use a class concept? Why do you use a class concept? Quickly tell me, all of you. Quickly tell me, why do you use a class concept? To develop programmer defined data types or user defined data types, and to develop, that is a very, very important sentence, to develop any real-time application. I want to write sum of two numbers that I can develop using classes concept. Without classes concept, you cannot. Either I have to go for what? Either I have to go for a procedural approach, that is a functional approach, or I have to go for a classes concept. Any program you take it, you have two ways. One is a functional approach, that is a procedure oriented approach. One more is called object oriented approach. How simple it is. Now I am going to move further. Is this sentence is clear? Yes. What is the need of this programmer defined data? Why do you develop programmer defined data type? Okay, programmer defined data types I will develop with the classes concept. What is the reason? The main purpose of, see my dear student, again I will elaborate. The main purpose of developing programmer defined data types. The main purpose of development of programmer defined data types is that to customize the operations, to tailoring our operations. See, tailoring our operation, to customize your requirement, to customize the requirements, to customize the operations of the problem, to customize the operations of problem statement. Suppose somebody is giving, write a Python program which will accept student details such as number, name, marks in 3 subjects, and calculate total marks. Next what? Percentage of marks plus a grade of the marks. We have already done. Where we did, my dear students, normally we did with while loop and all those things. Now with the functions we did it. Did you remember that? Where was our data stored? In the function call, in the function definition. Am I correct? Yes. Was it stored in the objects like list? Was it stored in the objects like list? No, no. It was no. We want to store the student data like student number, student name, marks in 3 subjects, total marks, grade. Like that, I want to store my own data. And I want my own operation. So that is nothing but what? Customization. I want to customize the operations of what? Problem state. To customize the operations of the problem statement. See students, to customize the operations of my problem statement. Yes. Very, very simple, ma. So don't feel much difficulty. Yes, we understood. To develop, see students, to develop programmer defined data types, and to develop and to develop any real-time application by using classes concept to develop programmer defined data types and to develop any real-time applications by using what? Real-time applications by using what? I say by using which concept? Classes concept. Classes concept. We must use a keyword. We must use a keyword class. What is the keyword called? Class. We must use a keyword class to develop programmer defined data types and to develop any real-time applications by using which concept? Classes concept. We must use a keyword class. Finished. Now I am going to ask you a question. Object first or class first? Object first or class first? See, this is a sensitive point I am writing. Excellent move. Class first. Okay. So in the beginning days, whether you remembered or not, class does not contain what? Class does not contain what, and object will contain what? Class does not contain memory space. Did you remember, students? One day, once upon a time, the beginning days, I just said, again I am saying to you, class does not contain memory space. It is a specification. I told one example in that days. If you want to construct a house, you will go for the plan of your house. You must go for the plan, blueprint, design, you need to go for it. All the people should listen the class very carefully without leaving the session. If you leave the session, I can't do anything else because you cannot understand 10 days. So it's very horrible when you don't attend the classes complete time. I will take the complete time, my dear students. Don't think that sir will take up to 7:30, 7:25 like that. I will take 9:45, 9:50 like that. I will go on taking the class. So please prepare to attend 1 hour 45 minutes like that. Okay. Now what I just suggested already, if you follow, it is good for the health. Otherwise, it's up to you. Yeah. So constructing the house, a civil architect is giving in the form of a paper. That paper related drawing is called a class. And when we implement that plan in the physical land, that is nothing but we construct the building based on that measurements, which is called an object. So first, what is there? First, what will exist? Class. Inside the class, what is there? What to appear in my object? Room dimensions, how many rooms, room dimensions, drawing, kitchen, how many bedrooms, waiting room, all those kind of things are mentioned inside of that, but they are not supposed to be manipulated there. They are not supposed to sit there. You can't do anything there. You can't do anything there. It is only the specification. It is only the specification. It is only the matter of what? Mentioning only. Dear students, I would like to define definition of class. I would like to give you definition of a class, if you understand me. Definition of what? Class. I am saying that a definition of class. I hope you will follow me. Yes, sir. If you really follow me, right? If you really follow me, yes, ma. DEVE, LOP. Okay, ma. Right. Thank you. Right, ma. Pinate. Pinate. Thank you. Right. So to customize the operations, of the problem statement. Yeah. Definition of class, I want to go for it. Definition of class. Whatever is there inside the class, that is reflecting to your object. Am I correct or not? Whatever is there in your class, that is reflecting. So tell me, what type of data to be available in object? You have to specify inside the class. What type of operations to be done on the object? You have to specify inside the class. Tell me, if you catch me, I would like to ask one small question. Data supposed to be stored On the data, operations to be performed. Data supposed to be stored plus operations to be performed on it. So data supposed to be stored plus operations to be performed. That's why data related variables I will specify inside the class, and then operations related functions also I will specify inside the class. Now I'm writing a class is a collection of data members. First time you are entering into the definition. Data members, nothing but after all variables. After all variables. We have seen some type of variables already in the functional programming. How many variables you have seen? How many variables you have seen? We have seen about what? We have seen about what? Number one, what you have seen? Local variables, global variables, actual variables. Yes, students, did you remember that? All of them? Local variables, global variables, formal parameters, all those things you have seen. Now we are entering a class is a collection of data members and what? Methods. Methods are nothing but functions. Functions in we call it the functional programming. Same functions we are writing inside of the class. We are calling it as a methods. We are calling it as a methods. Methods are nothing but, dear students, functions. In normal functional programming languages, we call it as a functions only. But when you write the same function inside of where, if you write the same function inside of where class, we call that function as what? Method we can call. Other than that, nothing is a difficulty. Other than that, nothing is a difficulty. Why data members are required inside the class, ma? Because those data members allows you to store the data as a part of the object. Simple, ma. In my main copy, this is called my copy. This is my original copy. Original copy this is, which is containing some information. Which is containing some information. You cannot touch it. I have to implement it. This is called an object. In this object, what will come? The same values will come. Same thing will be coming. Here I can store the data. Store the data, store the data, store the data, store the data. It is called your room number 1, room number 2, room number 3, room number 4. These are all called room dimensions. But you cannot live in this paper. When you construct your house, you can sleep here, you can eat here, you can draw there, you can do anything here. This is called an object. You can store the data. Am I clear, students? Class is nothing but what? Collection of data members. And next, so right, ma? Yes, Joshita. That's what ma I told already in the classes so far. For that purpose only I told you. Look at that. Joshita, you are asking this doubt, ma. Already that doubt only I clarified. So, sir, we already have functions, right, sir? Why do we need classes again? You are asking. That means you are not listening my class. See, what is happening? This is already explained in the class. This is a list. Already we have functions. Joshita. Now I want to read my data. I want to read my data. Do you have read function here? I want to customize my operation. Yes, Taushif, correct. For a programmer defined and customization purpose. For customization purpose. Do you have any function for deciding the grade, ma? Joshita, do you have any grade function in list, ma? See, ma, that question is already addressed half an hour back only. No, grade function was not there. There was no such grade function. Then how can I decide the grade? You go for customization. To customize, you go for your own class. You go for your own class. Develop your own class. List class is not containing. Develop your own class. Create your own object. Create your own object. Customize your operations. Where you can write user-defined functions. User-defined functions, you can write it. Where are you storing the data? Where are you storing the data, ma? User-defined functions you are writing. Where are you storing the data? In the form of parameters. Either actual parameters or what? Formal parameters. Right or not? either actual parameters or formal parameters. What is the life of actual parameters and formal parameters in the program? As long as they are executing. One function is completed, where is the data stored in? Come on, ma, where is the data stored in? No, only Joshita should answer it. Where is the data stored in? Formal parameters will be there only to access within the function. Okay. Formal parameters and then actual parameters are there only for that function only. Can I access those things in otherwhere else? In the entire program, can I access? No. That's why customization is required. So these are all these things I told already here only. All these things explained. Right? Coming to the point. Carefully try to understand. Right? Oh, yes. Yes, exactly, Kotesh. Exactly what you are saying. Right. For customization is most important. Customization is very, very important. For that customization purpose, we go for what? Collection of, you need to define your own class. Class is a collection of data members. How many types of data members are there, my dear students? Slowly I'm entering into the class. Here we have instance data members, and don't worry about it, instance data members and class level data members. That is actually, I am not interested now to tell today, that I will introduce in the further. Class level data members, class level data members, class level data members. A class is a collection of data members, instance data members, and class level methods. Of course, I'm not boasting about my class. Nobody knows about OOPS, those who completed Python. Take any student, they don't understand first of all. They don't understand first of all. They don't understand. Fine. So in a class, data members are there. Which data members are there in functional? Formal parameters, actual parameter, global parameters. Okay. Global parameters, formal parameter, local variables, where they are available inside the functions only. Now I want to go for what? Class. Why should I go for my class? For customization of the operations. How many data members are there? Instance data members and class level data members. Now itself I will give you the clarity for you. Let us understand. Take your example. You are learning Python. So course for all of you is what? Course for all of you. Tell me, course for all of you is called common or not? Course for all of you is called common. How many times would you like to allocate the memory space? How many times would you like to allocate the memory space? Super, mono, very good. One time only I would like to allocate the memory space. One time only I would like to allocate the memory space. Super. I want to allocate the memory space only one time. Now tell me, because it is a common value. Such a type of common values are called what level members? Class level data members. So easy. Come on, ma. Class level. I'm asking your number, your name, your marks, your number, your name, marks, because they are changing from one student to another student. One student to another student. They are called what? What they are called? Can anybody can answer my question? They are called instance data members. What they are called? Instance data members they are called. Once again, account number, customer name, balances. Customer number, balances. Customer name are called what? Are called what? Instance data members. Branch name for lakhs of customers. Branch name for lakhs of customers. What? Class level, class level. So you are able to understand what is a class level data member, what is an instance data member. Last and final. Aadhaar card number, citizen name, and then address, and then country name. Aadhaar card number and citizen name and address is called are called instance data members. And what about your country name? Country name. It is a common for everybody. 130 crores of Indians. Country name is common. Did you understand? So when I am defining a class, all the students in our class are called objects, are called objects. Objects. Objects will contain which data members? Objects will contain which data members? Instance data members. See, simple ma. Keep your concentration. Objects will contain what? Instance data members. For all those objects, what is the common? Class level data members. Class level data members. So before going to make these data members to available in the object, they must first available in where? Class. They must first available in where? Class. See, I want to this is my open land, ma. This is my open land. This is my open land. I don't know how many rooms will come in my open land. So that's why my architect has written a paper, bedroom 1 and bedroom 2, bedroom 3. 3 bedrooms has written. One dining is provided, and kitchen is provided. One puja provided, and one hall is provided. One hall is provided with the dimensions he has given. With the dimensions he has given. These many number of rooms are provided. When you build the house, same exact plan is repeated. Exact plan is repeated. So your exact plan is repeated. So it is going to be maintained like this. Will you get any additional room here? Will you get any additional room here? No. Whatever is mentioned in the class, same thing is coming in your object also. Yes, instance data members are going to be whatever you are mentioning inside the class that are coming in the object only. Come on, students. Instance data members are specific or common? Instance data members are specific or common? Specific. Super. Class level data members are common or specific? Common. And on the data members of that, some operation to be done. What is required? What is required? What is required? Methods are required. Methods are nothing but what? Functions only. Methods are nothing but what, ma? Functions only required. So inside the class, what should I write it? Did you understand first of all definition of class, ma? First of all, did you understand what is the definition of class? Yes. What is the definition of class? Once again, please. What is the definition of class? A class is a collection of data members. What is that? Instance data members. And next is what? Class level data members, as well as what? Methods. Dear students, here I will write it. The main purpose of taking data members inside the class is to store the data as a part of my object. Whatever the data members you are taking and methods you are taking inside the class, they are reflected as a part of my object. That point I will like to mention it. Whatever the data members, and methods, whatever the data members and methods we are taking, whatever the data members and methods we are taking inside of a class, they are reflecting as a part of what? Object. Whatever the drawing my house contains, same thing will be depicted, same thing will be represented in my physical land also. So whatever the data members and methods we are taking inside of class, they are reflecting as a part of object. Yes, students. Now I am writing a class definition. I will write here. When we define a class, I will write when we define a class, this is the points you must remember. When we define a class, we never get a memory space. We never get any memory space. We never get any memory space. For what? Data members and what? Methods. But whose memory space created? Whose memory space is created? Whose memory space is created? When we create an object. When we create an object. Did you understand? Hence, data always stored in object. To create an object, what is required? Class is required. That point I will mention. Hence, data always stored in, these points you must remember, ma. Hence, data always stored in object, and to create an object, there must exist an object. There must exist a class, there must exist a class definition. That's it. Otherwise, object creation is not possible. Otherwise, object creation is not possible. Did you understand, students? Definition of the class, and then whose little importance I explained. I hope. About the concept of class we understand. Next I will go for syntax for defining a class. I will go for it. How to define the class in Python? I just want to go for it. First of all, are you confident about all these things? Ma? Each and every person must communicate with me, especially whoops. By not attending the class, don't spoil our future. Please attend. It's my humble request for everybody. Everybody try to respond, ma. Did you understand? Then I can go for syntax for defining a class. I will go for it. How to define a class, how to create an object, that is our next session. I will go for it, because today up to is concept you please remember. So every Python program must starts with what? Every Python program must starts with what? Very good. Everybody must understand my questions, answer my questions. Class. What is the definition of class? Please? A class is a collection of data members and methods. Why do you use data members, my dear students? Why do you use data members here? To store the data. To store the data. Fine. Next is called what? Come on the data, we will perform our own operations. Perfect. So to customize our operations, we use the concept of what? Classes and objects, we will use it. So coming to the point of it, we will go for what? Such a concept. Class first, later we will go for it. Now we need to learn how to go for class. Student class I want to define, employee class I want to define. Today's concept is class concept, you understand, and be ready for how to define a class in Python. Tomorrow's class we will come across. Okay, students, shall I stop the session now? It's now 7:40. Today I will stop it, and tomorrow's class we will continue. So what is the tomorrow's class? Syntax for defining a class. All these things you must remember. Tomorrow, syntax for defining a class. Don't miss it. Very, very, very important. I will upload now itself. Read and then come to the class. Thank you. Good day. Good night.